Gregan gonna be the new coach, no cap. Squishy. Just don't need to boost to the 100. Oh, stop hating on Squishy. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm back. NRG versus Rogue. Right. So North America had their closed qualifier and NRG came out on top. We want to see why these three players here, who I've been very critical of in the past, looked better in this closed qualifier, and do they have what it takes after dropping Coach Says to be able to make it into that top 8 as we expect from them. Of course, closed qualifier does not have the top 8 teams from the last event, but I do feel like there's a lot of potential if you do well in a closed qualifier, a bit of a wake-up call to take the spot of one of those top 8 teams from last event and make your way in. So we'll get into some replays on the Rogue game, and I do want to have a little look at the Rogue game in particular because that's probably their toughest opponent they had. So we want to have a look at some of the stats. Okay, so in this series, you can see there's 5 games, even though it was a 3-1, which looks a bit odd. But basically, first game went in Rogue's favor. Game 2, the second goal that went in for NRG was disallowed because a disconnect happened during that goal. They ended up winning the game 2-0, so that's why you can see game 2 and game 3 here like this. And then game 4, game 5, NRG looked really good in. So Rogue, just missing out in this series. They did end up qualifying themselves, but let's have a little look at some of the stats and see what's going on here. Quite a low stats series. Actually, that's just because of the division of games, right? This is going to look a bit odd because it's divided by 6 rather than divided by 5 rather than divided by 4. So the stats are a bit skewed low. So it's quite hard to fully process what we're looking at here. But NRG getting a lot more shots than Rogue. Squishy getting a lot of assists, which is good to see. Garrett getting a lot of goals. Justin doing a bit of both. We'll have a little look in the boost category. So this isn't skewed by the stats boost per minute, because it's per minute rather than per game. Garrett keeping it nice and low. Justin quite high, that's fine. Squishy quite high. Average amount pretty good for Garrett. You know, Garrett is very boost efficient. Might be a sign that he's not going, because high average amount can show that you're not using boost. And this will be skewed a bit low here, so can't fully process this information that well. Yeah, everything looking pretty similar. Average speed, Aqua's moving quite fast. Garrett playing quite grounded. Squishy quite grounded. Aqua, this is pretty scary signs for Aqua. Aqua's moving very fast and in the air a lot, so I assume is probably getting punished for overcommitment in the air a lot. Recovery speed from aerials is key to be able to bring that grounded stat down. But yeah, this is surprisingly high. So yeah, let's have a little look at the games. Let's first start off with the game where Rogue win it and see what's going on there. So we're going to be looking mostly at NRG, because what we got to remember is when I analysed NRG last time, I looked at a very small cohort of games. So you don't get a full picture of a team, you just get a picture from a few games available. So I do want to just see a few more to understand what's going on. Now this one, I remember seeing this live and people were saying Garrett saved this. I'm pretty sure Toroko was going to save this. Yeah, Toroko's saving that. So Garrett had the right idea. I think Justin needs to hit that slightly higher for Garrett to have the ability to do something with it. But equally, I can see what Garrett was trying. I remember everyone being so confused seeing that in the chat. But like, I saw it and I was like, I'm pretty sure Toroko was going to save that. So the right idea there. Nice touch from Justin. He knows he's going to get the boost, so he can rush that. Lovely stuff here. This should be a goal here now for NRG. Okay, yeah, a little lack of creativity here from Justin, but like you can see Justin's done well to get this out, taken Aqua out the play. This is where there should be a goal. Now, what options do they have in this situation? Let's fly up. So it's a 2v1, Toroko rotating back. You know, Justin's got the world in his hand, and this is where creativity needs to come in. Sorry about the siren. So we've got a pass mid is an option, hit it onto the backboard is an option, 50-50 the keeper is an option, Garrett going for a bump is an option. There's so many options here on what could be done, and I think he goes for the 50-50, the low 50-50 in the end, right? But just doesn't like quite control the ball in a way that allows for that low 50-50. So if we go back and we watch this again, good touch there, just overhits that touch a little bit and so loses control. He's probably trying to drop that down to tuck that in middle, 50-50 it, but yeah, a little bit rough there. That could have been a goal. They did everything right in defense to lead to the goal. Garrett goes up, good 50 or good challenge win there from Garrett. Squishy This is not good right here. So Garrett going for that ball is all right, as long as he can recover fast. Let's see. Gets that can recover quite fast here. Squishy right here is not in a good position to turn and go. That's just got to go straight forward into that backboard there. That's fine. That's me being hypercritical. Right here, like if we fly away, this just isn't, you're never going to win that challenge. Right? At no point in this period of play did Squishy ever have a chance of getting close to that. So that's a pretty risky dive, especially as Justin's just back alone now. Thankfully, Aqua gives the ball away, so Justin gets recontrol. But like, a good team would punish NRG there, I think. So yeah, I guess you guys in chat are asking, what should Squishy have done there? Like, Taroko's gonna rush that no matter what, and Taroko's limited, right? You can see here, Taroko's used boost, right? You know he's used boost there. And he has to try and get control of the ball and do something with the ball. So what you have to do in that situation is wait. So right here, boom, go, right? Rotate out via the pads. At this point here, you see Taroko hit that ball on the wall. Squishy shouldn't be coming in now, right? Squishy shouldn't ever think that it's the right option to go for the ball here, unless Taroko does a really bad clear, right? So the moment Taroko's not done a bad clear, should not be going in. Because Garrett's got a slow return here, so you're not doing this as the first person anymore. This is a fine challenge if you're the first person, you've got two teammates behind you, but it's not if you're the second person. So second person decision making is one of the hardest things to do in Rocket League. And so this here, the decision needs to be, Taroko, what can you do with that ball, right? Taroko's used a lot of boost there. Taroko's got to take control of the ball and use boost to stay with that ball. And he's going to run out of momentum and height and stuff. So he's going to fizzle out in terms of what he can do here. But by diving in, you add value to his position. And mean that he gets 2 for 1 there, right? Bit of a whiffy touch off the sidewall here from Justin. Trying to hit it off the ceiling into himself. Doesn't quite work it out, but trying to be creative. But a lot of boost used here. Gonna have to try and regain through pads. Like, you see this route back to net here, right? There is no urgency for Justin to get back into the goal here because he's got 2 teammates back in the goal. So that's where, like, taking your time off the ball to gain as much boost as possible. Like right here, Justin has the time to just rotate back either via this route with full trust or the route he takes but slower like that, right? Just to gain some boost, because like it's not a huge thing, but it's like, see what happens? Like, if he was in net now with 70 to 90, he wouldn't think to go get 100, right? But because he's there with 60, he rotates out to get the 100. The 100's not there, right? So like that, like just trusting pads is such a big part of high-level Rocket League now, right? But Justin's a little bit reliant on the 100s, it seems. That's fine. Squishy can clear that forward. Justin, like, if this clear from Squishy is a bit more, like, a bit higher quality, then Justin gets a free touch, but it's not the easiest of touches. He does all right in the end, recovers well. So, like, I'm not blaming Squishy here. That's a pretty good clear. Moves up with pads. Good speed. Good dunk. This is good play from Squishy. Good play from Squishy. That should be a goal here. So Squishy's done really well here, actually. From back here, in net, single jump aerial, big boom, forces 2 players up, makes it uncomfortable for Aqua, gives Justin an option, picks up pads, stays in the play, fastest ball, blocks gyro, recovers well. Like, this is just really good Rocket League. The reason why he boosts out of this situation is because he knows that 100's there and it's going to help him recover quicker. He's going to come back in, take gyro off the ball. Really good stuff here from Squishy. So, like, this is what Squishy is capable of as a player, right? That just needs to be a goal, right? Like, is what it is. Is what it is. So, yeah, Squishy's done very well there. Okay, Garrett rotates out far side. Justin gets a nice block. Good dodge from Garrett there. Great decision to take control. Like, this is good Rocket League from NRG. A little bit more on-the-ball creativity when they're in space with the ball. Definitely help them out, you know, especially when we look at the difference between the best teams right now in North America and Europe, like Oxygen, KC, FaZe, Gen G. All these teams, when they're in space with the ball, with boost, they're taking players out every time, right? That's the quality we expect of these teams. And, like, forcing multiple players to be needed. But yeah, that's what we expect out of the top players, right? Squishy, what a touch. What a touch. Beautiful. Huge from Squishy. Right here, Squishy rotates back in, maintains his boost really well, goes to that ball. Nice touch over the top. Maintains his boost there. Just don't need to boost to the 100. Okay, everything was great there, but do you see how reliant NRG on 100s? Because you see them boost for 100s so often when the 100s aren't there. Right? Like, this was fantastic. Squishy's done everything correctly here. Take control of the ball. Taken 2 players out of the game. Set up a free goal. Now, of course, he probably thinks Garrett's just going to score that. But still, it's the habits, right? Like, right here, why are we boosting to the 100? You probably thought it was a goal. It doesn't matter if you think it's a goal. This is what I'm trying to say, is that when I'm looking at these replay analyses, I'm only looking at a few games, right? I'm not looking at every single game. If I was coaching a team, I would look at all of their games from an event. I would look at all of their different opponents that they played against. I would look at every single scrim. So you get a bigger picture of all the different problems. But what you can always see in a small cohort of any player's gameplay is you see their bad habits come out enough times that you can see that it's a problem. And right here is a sign of a bad habit, right? The bad habit is the way I accumulate boost is through 100s. Just imagine right here, if Squishy as a player had the intuition, whenever in this situation, to instead to drive here, 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 right? Or say when he's along this journey, he changes his mind, right? Because that's the advantage when you're in the plays. You can change your decision, right? Could even drive here, 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 drive back out, you know? It's those kind, like, he's done everything so well up to this point. And people are going to be like, oh, stop hating on Squishy. I'm not. He's playing fantastic. These last periods of play, like, whatever he's been thinking to do, he's improved on, right? So good. Low boost play. So good. Mechanical low boost play. Beautiful. Garrett scores the goal. But it's these little moments when the bad habits come through. And it's for all 3 of the players, right? Garrett's bad habit was 50-50 in situations where he should just be forcing, right? Justin's bad habit is just sort of throwing himself into a mechanical position to try and outplay people and, like, not thinking about the recovery, right? It's like... And, like, Justin's also very bad at relying on the 100 boosts. Great shot from Squishy. Right, so why has this goal gone in? Let's see. Right, I think Aqua's done a good play here. Nice play from Aqua. Gyro takes Garrett out. Garrett's doing pretty well here. I think that was a wall dash attempt, but he's done well, right? Saved enough boost to recover. Gets that touch. Recovery's a bit off. I think at that point, recovery is key. Do you know what's really bad? And I'm annoyed I didn't say this right now. When I was watching Garrett's point of view, my intuition was, oh, he can just go back and get mid boost, right? In my head, I genuinely thought, oh, he can just go back and get mid boost. But, of course, he can't, because that's taken. To be fair, Taroko could have taken it. My thought process for Garrett is because this play is going to move across the pitch, he should just dart back, get this pad, and then get the mid boost, and then rotate back into the middle of the pitch. And if that boost wasn't there, he can just go via the pads in the middle of the pitch. So this would be my thought process for him, right? Like, the mindset here, and, like, you might be thinking this is me min-maxing to the absolute craziest level, right? But let's just think of it in, like, a really simple term that a player could integrate into their gameplay. Right here, at this point, what is Garrett G's mindset? For those of you who've seen my content before, you might have seen the rotate out mindset video. But right now, what is the rotate out mindset? no longer make a play on the ball. So what he's going to look has just made a play and he can no longer make a play on the ball. So what he's going to look to do is rotate out, and your primary focus when rotating out is to rotate away from the play to come back in a useful position with boost. So your 3 goals are rotate away, come back in a useful position, and with boost. We'll talk about the second. Does that make sense to you guys? So rotate away from the play to come back in a useful position with boost. So Garrett G right now is in the rotate out mindset, which is to rotate away from the play to come back in a useful position with boost. We want to think from Garrett's point of view, right? So Garrett's done this play. At this moment, where on the pitch is the play going to go? Right? We're all smart Rocket League players. Where on the pitch is this ball about to go? Towards the center of the field. Exactly. The ball is going to go this way. It's going to go this sort of direction, right? It's going to go middle, any of these directions. It's going to go over to the opposite side of the pitch. So how does one rotate away from the play in this situation? Back the way he came, right? This is where it's hard to know whether you rotate out through the play, so where you go like this and rotate back this way, or you look to just rotate back same side, right? So it's not always super obvious which way you're going to go, but it comes from a read of the play to understand which way you're going to go. So in this situation, if Garrett does that, he'll find himself in a much more useful position much sooner. But you see how in this situation, he's driving away from that ball and rotates at Justin. So then Justin is a little bit confused here. Also Justin's positioning, we'll talk about that as well. So the structure here, now obviously this is like high level, and like I feel like only teams like BDS would be doing this, but this is where NRG need to be, right? Right here, Justin needs to be positioned more like over here so he can come in, right? So Justin wants to be positioned on the opposite side of the pitch. Like right now, he's way too narrow. And while Justin is narrow, it's really hard for him to get any ball that's in this place because he's right underneath it. So Justin wants to be on the opposite side of the pitch looking into this position, but also having the ability to cover the middle of the pitch, right? So right now, Justin's too tight on the left side, on the right side. Should be positioned more like here, right? Because Squishy's on the right side, Justin should be in the middle. And at that situation, Garrett should be rotating out this way, getting that boost. If it's not there, going via pads, or if the ball ends up going on the counter-attack, she'll be able to get the back boost, that kind of thing, right? If you see here where Justin's positioned, he ends up having to drive away from where he needs to be covering before he can go towards it because of his positioning, right? Do you see this? So you see this pathing here from Justin. He's moved himself towards the middle of the pitch, but then how does he go back to this way? He has to drive back where he's come from, right? So Justin should have been positioned more like here so that he could play off of that play and if not, rotate out. Does that make sense to you guys? So right now, this whole structure of NRG has led to them conceding because Justin should have been here. Garrett should have rotated down this side of the pitch. Squishy's shot attempt was fine. You know, it got blocked. That's fine. If Justin was here, if the ball goes across this way, Justin's first to it, right? If Squishy wins the interaction, it goes off the opposite side, Justin's first to it. If the ball goes back this way, Justin can cover in a much nicer angle than what he was in that time, right? So you guys see how Justin's third positioning isn't quite right, and Garrett's decision to rotate out via the middle of the pitch isn't quite right. So that's where the structure breaks down for NRG. So this isn't on Squishy at all. Squishy was fine in that interaction. I'd say Justin's positioning was pretty poor. Garrett's decision to rotate out via the middle of the pitch, pretty poor. Good decision by Justin not to go there. Good play by Garrett. This is good play. So right here, Garrett comes in. Good attempt by Garrett, right? Like this is a safe and dangerous play. Almost gets the bump on the way out. Rotates via that boost. Perfect. Comes back into the play. So you see there? You see that shape? Continue the momentum. Rotate out. Come back in a useful position with boost. Right now, he's just waiting for Aqua. So now let's look at Squishy in this situation. Fine to go for that 50-50. Recovery mechanics poor. So that's a mechanical issue, right? Takes multiple players out of the game. Gives Justin the opportunity. Mechanical error, right? Also, boost efficiency error, right? It'll all come clear when we scroll back, right? 100 boost grabbed here. Didn't need to go for that. Got a player on the backboard covering that. This decision here leads to lower boost. Let's see what happens off the back of it. boost is going down, moving into the play. Boost should be going up, moving into the play in this sort of situation, right? Right here. Like, it's not that bad to be fair, but you can just see the movement efficiency of Squishy in this passage of play has led to him being slow back, which has meant he's left Garrett in a 2v1, right? What's happened to Justin this whole time? Let's see. I mean, Justin went for that shot, right? Recovery speed could have been a little bit better, but ultimately wasn't that bad. And let's have a watch of Garrett in that situation. Garrett's fine here. Garrett's fine here. Garrett's fine here. Yeah. So this is just... If we look at Squishy from the last time he had 100, movement efficiency is not there. So you can see how these things add up. If you keep making the repeated errors of movement efficiency, it quickly adds up. And like Rocket League now is, you have to have a structure of sort, but you need to be in the play as often as possible, have as much boost as often as possible, and win out interactions as often as possible, right? It's a numbers game. You need to be making your 50% challenges into 60% challenges. You need to have your boost wasted as low as possible so that when you need boost, you have more than you need, right? So you can recover faster, so that you can make decisions faster often, so you can get to the 100 quicker, so you beat someone else at the 100, and so on. So you can see how they're close, and obviously this is the only game they lost in the closed qualifier, right? So we are analysing the only loss that NRG had in the closed qualifier, as opposed to the 9 other games that they ended up winning. The problem is a lot of their games were quite close, and I would hope, if a team went 9-1, I would hope for the results to be more like it was in the final series for them, which is where they looked dominant in terms of results, as opposed to the close games that they had against Rogue and against Nefarious at the start. Gets this last goal. Let's see what happens here. But if there is something you as a team are doing that's leading teams to score goals against you fairly... Like, what teams are doing is they're counter-attacking against NRG when it doesn't feel like NRG have overcommitted, if that makes sense. Like, when you look at the gameplay that NRG are doing, it doesn't look like they've overcommitted, but technically they have, by the way they're playing, right? Right here, Squishy's touch, lost control a little bit. Lost control a little bit. Yeah, just these touches are a little bit low quality. A little bit low quality there. Garrett G's 50 here, pretty low quality. Justin got a little bit too close. So yeah, it's just low quality control here. But good play by Aqua, to be fair to him. We should credit Aqua in this situation. Punishes Squishy on that touch. Good recovery, good 50, good bump. Like, that's a 1v3 outplay from Aqua, but you can see how quickly that all just disappeared, right? NRG's spacing's a little bit off. Actually, let's just go back to like a passage of play like this. So NRG in the orange. See how close together they're playing? And it means that all it takes is one intercept a lot of the time, and they will get punished, right? Because they have to react to each other's touches super quickly. You see there? Like, just in that corner there, they're also on top of each other, right? If we go back to this kickoff here. That was actually quite pretty, the way that kickoff happened. But because they're so close to each other a lot of the time, they have to react to each other's touches. You see how close 3 and 2 are moving up through the middle of the pitch there? It then means that they have to react to each other's touches. You see there? Right? Like, if we go now and we have a look, if we look at Justin moving up with Squishy here, they're super close to each other. You then have to be super reactive off of each other's touches, and that puts a lot of pressure on your mechanics. Right, like Justin here has no option other than to go because the tempo is just a bit too fast. So in this situation, Justin has no option but to go. And you could see that when you looked at the overall, when you look at it on here, you can see that as they move up, how close they are together. So they have to react off of each other's touches. And like, if you're that close and reacting off each other's touches, you have to do one of two things. One, you have to be more mechanical and much more efficient with your movement. So you have to be more efficient with your boost, more efficient with your rotation speed and so on. And secondly, you need to be able to fully trust each other's touches. And right now, I don't feel like they do. So they need to play a more spread out, more controlled style, which will come from fake challenging, forcing, waiting for your opponents to go, that kind of thing. See, like, you see right there, right? Like, if we just go back, I want to watch, yeah, Justin in this bit of play, right? If you watch on here, number 3 in this bit of play, look at where Justin is. He's ahead of the play, right? So because he's in a static position close to the play, you have to get the perfect touch that he can react to, right? In this situation. So from Squishy's point of view, Squishy has one option right here. And that's beat Taroko in a way that Gyro can't get to. Otherwise, Justin can't have a shot, right? So in that case, this is now an overcommitment. Just from Justin's positioning, this is now considered an overcommit. Because Taroko has intercepted the play without Justin even going for it. And technically, Garrett's now in a 2v1, right? Justin does get back in time, but he would have been late if Rogue had been a bit more in control with that. But like, the way they're playing is creating overcommitment, even though they're not what traditionally you'd consider overcommitting, right? So the other thing to mention here, right, is the habits and how they're forming and everything. And I would say that a lot of these habits could definitely be fixed through some coaching, and could definitely be fixed through some changes in mindset around the game. I'm not going to say how I would translate that to a team, because obviously what I'm doing right now is observational, observing the issues, and then how you fix that is a whole different stage of replay analysis and coaching, right? Because, you know, seeing something's a problem is the first step to fixing it. And I don't know if these guys probably can see this stuff. I would hope they can anyway. It's then how do you convert that into a language that the team will understand and be on the same page with to improve it. Squishy here, good play. Why is this a good play from Squishy? Sets up a player in the middle, looks to get a bump, right? Justin right here, I assume trying for that play, but again, they're so tight together. Look at how narrow this play is, right? So, like, I don't care who you are, if you've got the best reaction speeds in the world, reacting to Squishy's touch here, right? In this situation, let's just fly up here, right? Who's closest to this ball? I'll be interested to see whether it's a variety of answers, because it should be a variety of answers. Aqua / Justin, Aqua, Justin, Aqua. You see, right? Like, there's no obvious answer. Justin will hit earlier, but Aqua's closer, right? You see what I mean, right? So they're in a situation where Justin is having to reaction outplay rather than comfortably outplay, right? So Squishy here goes to the solo play, right? It's fine that he goes for it, right? He does the right thing by going for it, but the whole, like, options that they're taking are very close together. They're like, this reminds me a little bit of when Vitality started to fall off in Europe, over in, you know, like the winter and the spring splits. The way they played was like forcing the ball to each other in a reactive way, rather than breaking down the opposition, creating space for each other and using the space to outplay. Excuse me. This is it. This is what it should look like, right? This is huge from Squishy. Squishy takes player out of the game, goes for the air dribble, looks to just take players out of the game. Garrett can come in and react off of it, right? You see how different this is as an option choice to the other stuff. This is breakdown rather than forcing a team play. Yeah, Garrett's not looking so good in this game at all. Squishy's actually looking really good, so fair play to him. Like, this is great from Squishy, right? Takes 2 players out the game, puts the ball in space, recovers by the time Garrett goes for it, right? So you see how this is different as a passing play, right? 2 players have been taken out the game, Garrett's in space with the ball. Can you guys hear those people outside, like, with a megaphone? Squishy. Let's go, Squishy. This is what we wanted to see. We want to see a bit of squishy muffins popping off. Let's go. 1 player out the game. 2 player out the game. 3 player out the game. Recovering. Let's go, squishy muffers. That's my boy. Let's have a look at the final game. Garrett's not having the best series. Justin's positioning a bit odd. Guys, I'm going to sneeze. We talk about value on the ball. He's done everything well. I couldn't agree more. We talk about value on the ball as any player. So Squinchy right here has come off the back wall, taken his time, baited in Taroko, taken Taroko out the game. He has taken a player out the game, gained boost, bumped 2 players, right? So not only has he gained value by taking the first player out the game, he's gained value off the ball by gaining boost and getting a bump. And then on his recovery out, I mean, it happens to go via gyro to an extent. Bruh, just leave the ball though. So he gets the bump on Aqua, gives the ball to Garrett G. Garrett G gets that touch over there. He did everything right until he went for the last little touch in it, right? Because that probably threw off Garrett a little bit. I mean, Garrett does have a reasonably tough angle to score here, but I think Squishy was just rotating out the opposite side. It would be the optimal right here. But instead, yeah, that happens. Garrett should be scoring this even if Squinchy is there. But that happens, and now they're on the back foot, right? So, like, they've recovered it all right. Okay. Justin. Nice solo play attempt. Doesn't quite work out. Recovery. See how the recovery there meant he didn't get the 100. Means he's rotating back. Gets boost up in the corner. He's wasting every bit of boost while he's rotating back. So Justin's boost being so reliant on the 100s is leading him to be in really uncomfortable positions quite a lot. So that's the main thing for Justin. Garrett's a lot of Garrett's issues are around like the execution of his mechanics at times, and like the decision making on what he should go and shouldn't go for. And overall, the team's general structure and positioning is forcing them all to be quite reactive. And so consequently, they're not in a comfortable position a lot of the time, and they're having to jump and react to stuff with whatever position or resources they have at the time. Like you saw there with Justin in this position here, has to go for this because of the way they're structured. And so they're not gaining possession of the ball because of the way they're structured. And then the last thing is just the kind of like confidence overall seems to have been shot a bit from the team. And so they're trying to force goals whenever they can because they're probably worried they're going to concede. Whereas Prime NRG, I feel like they can just trust the structure, right? Because their confidence in what's behind them isn't that high, they're throwing themselves at things that they shouldn't throw themselves at, rather than just forcing or faking it and then letting the ball go behind them and where they can be confident. So I think if they can start to trust their structure a bit more, they'll be able to just let the ball go. Hey, T-Bates, thanks for the Prime subscription. How you doing, sir? It's good to have you here. I think that'll be a good place to end. T-Bates entering the chat. Gregan gonna be the new coach, no cap.